Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone's having a great day today. We're going to be taking a look at 15.1. We're moving along in our Go Math Workbook, and you've been doing a very good job up to this point. This next section here is going to begin our section with classifying quadrilaterals. Now, with this section, we're going to have your math notebooks handy because we're going to be taking a lot of notes. And your notes are going to come straight out of these next couple of pages. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to review everything. And when I say this is one of the items you need to add to your notes, then we're going to add that to your notes. So what you need to do right now is get your math journals, go to the table of contents, find the next number in line. You're going to write 15.1, classify quadrilaterals. So go ahead and do that right now, then come back. Okay, as soon as you come back, go to the page that's indicated in the table of contents, and we're going to start taking notes. And you're going to take vocabulary notes, and you're also going to take some drawing notes. So I will let you know what needs to go in that math journal. Okay, so let's review this real quick. So follow along with me, and you're going to need these two: an angle, definition of an angle, the definition of a vertex or vertices if it's more than one, and we're going to discuss polygons on this section here. So you have this to take a note down, and this to take a note down, and this to take a note. Okay, so let's review this real carefully. An angle is formed by two rays that share an endpoint. Here are the two rays, and here's the endpoint. This endpoint is called a vertex. But when there's more than one, they're called vertices. This is the way you spell it. Two-dimensional figures have angles formed by two line segments that share an endpoint. Okay, so the two line segments that share an endpoint. Here's your angle. Here's our two line segments. This is the endpoint. This is the angle here. Okay. The shared endpoint is called a vertex. So this is called a vertex. Okay. So you can draw this, and then draw an arrow, and then instead of putting endpoint, you're going to put vertex. Okay. So here's a polygon. Don't worry about polygon. We're going to get that definition later. So this is a polygon. So how many angles are there? Well, here's two line segment. Here's an endpoint. That's one angle, two angles, three angles, four angles. So there are four angles. How many sides? Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So a polygon is a closed plane figure. This is a closed plane. What they mean closed is it's not open. Like if it were something like this, that's not a polygon. It's not closed. See how it's open here? With straight sides that are line segments. Okay, and we have these right here. Okay. Let's look at the next part. We're still going to be looking at Jason's polygon. Jason's polygon has two right angles. They form square corners. You can use the corners of a sheet of paper to tell if it's a right angle or not. But the way I do it here is, this is a right angle right here. When you have two lines, like line segments that form this side, right, and this is the way you put a right angle. You indicate it with this little shape right here. Notice how this angle is not the same as this one, and it's not the same as this one. Okay. These are right angles. So how many pairs of sides that are parallel? Okay. Well, we're going to look at the word parallel. Okay. Lines that appear to never cross or meet and are always the same distance apart are parallel lines. Here's one that you need to put in your math journal. So lines that appear to never to meet or never to cross or meet and are always the same distance. So there's only one pair. It's this one, these two lines. This one and this one are parallels, because if you can continue drawing it, they will never meet and they will still stay the same distance apart. And look at these two lines here as opposed to these two lines here. These two lines, if you continue drawing it, okay, when you draw this one, they're going to meet right here. So that means these two lines are not parallel. So in order for it to be parallel, they have to appear to never cross. These two will never cross, and it will stay the same distance from each other. Okay, so how many? So Jason's polygon has one pair of parallel lines, which is this one, one pair. And if remember, a pair means two. A pair means having two. Like you have a pair of shoes, you have two shoes. A pair of socks, you have two socks. Okay, so right now you should have angle, vertex, vertices, and parallel lines, and the definition of a polygon. The next page that we're going to have is one that you need to have. We're going to start taking more notes, and I'm going to guide you through it. So what you want to do now is each section that I discuss, you're going to put these in your notebook. Okay? Why do we put them in your notebook? Because when you read it, you write it, you draw it, you remember it, as opposed to just looking at it here. So everything that's in this page, you're going to write down in your math journal. And I'm going to walk you through this right now. So we're looking at quadrilateral. Here's a definition. Quadrilaterals are named by their sides and their angles. So all of these are quadrilaterals. How many sides do they have? We'll count them. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. They all have 4 sides. And they all have how many angles? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. They all have 4 angles. 1, 2, 3, 4. So they all have 4 angles. So these are your notes here. You'll have these shapes as quadrilaterals. You're going to put this down. Everything that you have in this page, you're going to copy into your journal. This is a trapezoid. Okay? These are 2 examples of a trapezoid. So a trapezoid, exactly, it has, well, if you look at it, is this line parallel? Are these 2 lines parallel? No, because they're going to meet. And are these two lines parallel to one another? No, because they're going to end up meeting up here. You only have one pair of opposite sides that are parallel lengths. Okay? The lengths of the sides don't have to be the same. Okay? They could be, but they don't have to. So this is the parallel lines that you have. This one, and for this one, it's this parallel line right here, and this one right here are parallel. Okay? The next section here. So this is a trapezoid. Now we're looking at a parallelogram. Here are examples of a parallelogram. Okay? How many pairs of opposite sides that are parallel? How many pairs? Well, here's one pair, and here's another one. So there are 2 pairs. Notice, 2 pairs of lines that are parallel. 2 pairs of lines that are parallel. How many pair of sides that are equal length? How many pairs of sides that are equal length? This one's an equal length, this one's an equal. So you have 2 pairs of equal sides that are equal length. And what do they mean about equal length? That means this one's the same length as this one. That's one pair. This one is the same length as this one. That's another pair. So they have 2 pairs of sides that are equal length. Okay? And 2 pairs of opposite sides that are parallel. Here we have a special case right here, and I want to point out this one. The square is a special shape. It is called a rectangle, and I'm going to explain it in a few minutes. It is also called a square, and it's also a rhombus. That's why we have it here. Now, why is it? Now, you've always looked at a rectangle. No, the rectangle is long. Well, we're going to see what a rectangle is. A rectangle shape has how many pairs of opposite sides that are parallel? It has, this is parallel to this one. This one's parallel to this one. It has 2 sides that are parallel. How many pair of sides that are equal length? This one's equal length. This one's equal length. That's one pair. This one's equal length. This one's equal length. That's 2 pairs, and this is the key right here. How many right angles? You have 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Notice how what a right angle looks. 90 degrees. Notice how this is not a right angle right here. This is not a right angle. You see the difference? Okay? So it has 4 right angles, and that's why a square is also classified as a rectangle. It has 2 pairs of opposite sides that are parallel. It has 2 pairs of sides that are equal length, because this one's equal length, this one's equal length, and this one's equal length. And it also has 4 right angles. So when we look at it as a square. How many pairs of opposite sides that are parallel? It has 2. And how many sides that are equal length? How many sides? It has 4 sides. In this case, it has 4 sides that are equal length. And how many right? Because this one's equal length here, this one's the same, this one's the same, and this one's the same. How many right angles? Well, we already know that's 4. So notice why it's also called a rhombus. Here's a rhombus. How many pairs of opposite sides that are parallel? It has 2 pairs. How many sides that are of equal length? And it has 2 of equal length. So notice how the square has the characteristics for a rectangle, for a square, and a rhombus, depending on how what you're looking at. Okay? So this should be in your notes too. This should be in your notes, this in your notes, and this in your notes. Okay, let's walk through this one. Here's a quadrilateral here. How many right angles are in the quadrilateral? Well, there's 1 here, there's 1 here, there's 1 here, and there's 1 here. So there's 4. Which sides appear to be parallel? Well, parallel. Okay, A is not parallel to B because it already meets right here. A and C are parallel. A and C, and B and D are parallel. B and D are parallel to one another. A and C are parallel to one another. Notice why D and C are not parallel. D and C are not parallel because this line goes here. This line will meet here at this vertex here. So the C and D are not parallel. Okay? The next one, you have to use your logic here and look at your notes. Circle all the words that describe the quadrilateral. And we already discussed this one. So we already know it's a rectangle. Because it has it's already a rhombus. It's already a square. And it's also a parallelogram. This shape has every characteristics of each one of these. And go back, refer to your notes, and double check on that, and you'll see it has every characteristics of each one. Now look at this shape here. This is another one here. This is classified as a rhombus and a parallelogram. And why? Look at your notes. Okay, 2 pairs of sides that are parallel. Okay, 2 pairs of sides with equal length. And then your definition for a quadrilateral. Okay? And once you write these down, once you draw the pictures, all of this will sink in. So let's look at the next one. Now we're losing at our logic here. Okay, we're going to use either the words all or the word some to complete that sentence. So the opposite sides of blank of the rectangles are parallel. The opposite sides of a rectangle. The opposite sides of all sides of a rectangle are parallel. Okay, this one's parallel to this one. This is opposite, and this one is parallel to this one. Rhombuses are squares. Okay, so this one's a rhombus sometimes, but this is also a rhombus. So you're going to put some, because not all rhombuses are square. Because this is a rhombus too. this is a rhombus too. Blank sides of a rhombus are the same length. The same length. Okay. How many sides? Is it all of them? All of them. All the sides of a rhombus are the same length. No, this is the same length as this one. This is the same length as this one. Blank trapezoids have one pair of opposite sides that are parallel. This is all also. All trapezoids have one pair of sides that are parallel. Right? Which would be this one and this one. Okay, then this one. I'm a quadrilateral that has no right angles. Okay. So it can't be square. It can't be a rectangle. Has no right angles. And four sides are equal length. Which quadrilateral has no right angles and four sides that are equal length? And we already looked at it. This one right here. Okay. This one right here. So it'd be the rhombus. Okay. The next one. I'm a polygon that has four sides and four angles. This is the key right here. All my angles are right angles. Circle all the figures that I could be. This is the key. Okay, well, we know it has four sides. Okay, all of these have four sides. Okay, but not all of these have all right angles. Which one does not here? Which one does not have all right angles? Well, look at, we just drew it right here. Okay, this one does not have all its sides right angle. Okay, this is not a right angle. This is not a right angle. So quadrilateral has four sides and four right angles. A rectangle has four sides and four right angles. A square has four sides and four right angles. A rhombus has four sides and four angles, and so does a parallelogram. Has four sides and all are right angles. So the key with classifying quadrilaterals is knowing the word and knowing its definition and knowing what the shape looks like. Okay? So take down your notes. Use colored pencils if you have to. I would do that. You have plenty of information to write down. And please be sure to do that because you're going to be able to use those when you take your online quiz. Okay, well, thank you so much for paying attention. And good luck. And we will see you when we check the homework. We will see each other again when we check the homework and daily task assessment. So good luck. We'll see you later.